Hey guys, I'm John.
And I'm Cherry.
And we're the Conleys. Anyway. So, welcome to our new channel. We decided we wanted to do this because we had some experience with camping. Tent camping, me, some backpack camping, very little backpack, but sort of roughing it. Car camping, and RV camping to a point.
Both John and I camped a lot in tents when we were kids, and so when we got married, we would take our kids out and we went tent camping. As we got older, we adopted some other children, and we wanted to be able to do the same thing with them, but we're older, and so we began talking about purchasing a camper as opposed to having to sleep on the ground. And
plus I can't get up off the ground in the mornings.
So we borrowed his dad's Class A for a weekend and took it camping, and decided we really didn't want anything that big because we like to camp outside or cook outside, and the kids like to play outside, and so we were constantly going up and down the steps out of the Class A. And
yeah, it sits real high off the ground. My one knee is shot. My back has been shot for years. Her knees and hips give her problems. We don't need a ton of steps.
So that kind of left us looking online at other smaller campers, and we started seeing a lot of the older Terrys and Shastas that people were renovating, and so we really liked that idea, and so that's kind of where we started looking.
I got to interrupt you.
Yeah.
Keep in mind, this was pre-pandemic.
Yeah.
So, okay, before the pandemic, you could find a decent deal on an old camper that needed a lot of TLC. You know, I shouldn't even say a little TLC. I mean, they need work. Some of them need gutting. Some of them need to be torn down to the trailer chassis and rebuilt. And if you have any kind of mechanical abilities, carpentry skills, anything like that, if you can follow basic directions, that's a pretty tall order these days. But if you can follow basic directions, you can do most of this work yourself. You got to have a little common sense. But now, since the pandemic, you know, everybody in the last 2 years decided that, you know, especially during quarantine, oh, we can go camping. We can do, you know, that's something we can do in social distance. Well, now the market has, you know, the prices for campers have been driven up so high that even an old, you know, 14-foot Scotty that's got, you know, rabid badgers or whatever living in it for the last 2 years, you can't get for less than $8,000. And the other thing, sorry, I know we have a script that we both wrote, and I'm totally off script right now. So, the other thing is, the manufacturers, because everybody and their grandmother decided they were going to camp during COVID, the manufacturers have been having a hard time keeping up with production. A, because they couldn't have but so many production workers in one space working. Then everybody decided that, you know, their time was worth way more than they were ever getting paid before. Some of them maybe, but the average probably not. And so the quality of new campers in the last 2 years has suffered dramatically. And we've seen it. I watch a lot of other people online because I had no life of my own, so I watch everybody else. But you can see where, you know, things aren't straight. They're not anchored properly. One person had a leak in their camper, and when they went to take the interior wall panel off to repair the leak and put new insulation in and stuff, they found a stack of beer cans and empty cigarette packs. And yeah, so, you know, there's a little bit of a quality control issue going on right now. So be careful if you buy anything that's like, I would say, 2019 and newer. I also advocate, and I'm sorry, I'm going way off the rails here. I also advocate for buying used anyway, cars, campers, because by then a lot of the bugs have been worked out or warranty repairs have been done. So, sorry, I think I'm done now.
So anyway, we started looking at camper remodels on Pinterest and on YouTube and seeing what other people have done to them. We started looking for a smaller, older camper, and we found a 1975 Terry that's 21 feet, and it had been used by its owners for hunting, and had been basically, they had altered it to be a bunkhouse, so it slept 6. And didn't really have much else besides a bathroom, a kitchen, and a whole bunch of bunks. At that point, that worked for us because we had 4 kids still at home, plus ourselves. And so we figured that would work for us. We actually camped in it for 2 years.
Yep.
Just as it was, with a little bit of cosmetic, work. We had to do new curtains, and we did some minor things to it. Then recently, John decided, after we went back to looking for a new camper and couldn't find anything because of the pandemic.
Used. Yeah,
we were looking for new used, but everything is so expensive. He decided he was going to gut this one and just make it what we wanted it. And so in October, that's what he started doing. And
hold up. This was supposed to be my winter project for this year. It was going to be, okay, we'll start around Halloween and I'll take the project through to spring when we would normally start going camping in, early May, and I'll have all winter to work on it. Well, one daughter lives at home still, and we'll get to that in a second. The other one's in the Marines. So the Marine is coming home on leave, and the one that's getting married lives here with her fiance, now husband, and his 2 kids, and all of a sudden my timeline went from all winter to 6 weeks to at least make it habitable for the Marine to be able to lay her head somewhere while she was home on leave for 30 days. And we'll get more detail here on that in a second. Gotta love family dynamics.
And so he pretty much gutted a lot of the inside, and it's still to this day not done. But we
see this lovely vintage 1975 paneling, and the rot in that corner, right here, that needs to be worked on. Yeah, it's not done.
It's a work in progress, but we took it out on its maiden voyage last weekend, and we absolutely love the stuff that's been changed and altered in it. We have
the maiden voyage for this recent iteration of
right. Yeah. Since we've done all the work to it.
Yep.
We now have a banquette, which we didn't have before.
Dinette.
What's the difference between a banquette
I don't know.
and
In a camper, it's called a dinette.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Gotta be official.
But this past weekend when we took it out, we kind of lucked out in that our teenage boys were away at camp. And so we didn't need the bed 4 and 5, which is what this will be and what this will be.
So when this was a bunkhouse, and you've all seen them in older campers, where at each end, the head, the bow of your camper, is that right, or is that only in boats? Anyway, at the front and in the back, usually there's an upper bunk that has a false cabinet front, and there's 2 little barrel locks. You undo them, and it flops down, and you have a bed with a mattress already in there and everything. We're going to put that back sort of the way it was on this end, and I'll show you pictures of the other end, what I did down there. We made it sort of permanently open. I didn't want any moving parts because every time they would roll over my head, it would just bounce like a trampoline, and no. So anyway, and this was a bottom part of a bunk that was just thrown together with 2x4s, so we built the dinette, and the table's pretty decent, but I know I keep interrupting. It's a bad habit. I have 2 other YouTube channels, and I'm used to talking to myself, to you guys, and yeah. And that's why we have this funky mic here. Normally this wouldn't be a thing.
He's good at talking.
I am. I never was before, but I am now. Anyway, this normally wouldn't be a thing, but this sounds a whole lot better than the onboard camera mic.
So people have been questioning us as they hear about us working on the camper, and they want to know, if it's Pinterest worthy yet, how far is it done, and lots of people want to see it. And so we decided that we would share this journey with everybody out there who might be interested in remodeling an old camper and living or camping small with a larger family, which is what we're doing. So
yeah, I mean, you really don't need as much space as you think you do. I see some young families pull in 5th wheels that would basically make our house look like, something from the land of Oz. And that's great. If you have the means and that's what you want, that's great. That's not my idea of camping. If I'm going to take every single convenience of home that's exactly like home or as close as possible, I might as well just stay home. To me, it needs to be a little different. It needs to be set apart a little. I spent a short time living on a boat, and I like the compactness. I like it's cozy, and I'm not a warm and fuzzy kind of guy, but I kind of like that atmosphere of being close. Everything has a home, and everything should be in its home. To me, it's easy. When everything has a home, you know exactly where it goes. When you're done using it, put it away. We still have to work on that a little, but your turn.
So we wanted to share our camping experiences and our remodeling experiences and our storage solutions, our tips and tricks with everyone out there.
Hacks, how-tos, whatever you want to call it. Things that I've learned, things that I'm still learning. I learn something new every day. And yeah, there's always a better way. Sometimes our better way won't be your better way. Sometimes we can learn things from you guys. So if this is something you're interested in, click subscribe. Click the little bell icon so you don't miss us, sharing our lives with our camper with you. Sometimes it'll be about us camping. Sometimes it'll be camping related subjects, even if we're not at the campground. Right now we both have jobs and we can't just take off. I would love to someday go full-time RVing, but and I'm sure she would too, but with kids at home and mouths to feed and things like that.
Kids coming back home.
Yeah. I don't understand this empty nest thing that people keep talking about. We've never experienced it. I'll be buried and gone, and there'll still be people living in my house. So anyway, if that's something that interests you, make sure you come back. This is just the first channel. We wanted to kind of give you a little introduction, say hey. We're not totally redneck, but we're not all uppity either. Camping's not as complicated as people make it seem sometimes. People tend to overcomplicate it, don't they?
Mm-hmm.
They overthink it. It's like, it can be as simple or as difficult as you want it. You can have as many gadgets or go as bare bones as you want. We camped in this thing this past weekend with, imperfections, things that aren't quite finished. You can see right down here by my wife's arm a little patch of white. This whole dinette is still raw plywood, and those are the screw holes that I filled in but haven't sanded yet. I need to sand them down and get everything painted. But, I don't have the screen frame back over here because I still have to redo this wall all around the door. I have to rebuild the door. So I want to show you guys that on video too. And on the next video, I'm going to kind of do a walkthrough of what I've done so far and what still needs to be done, which I'll never forget because my wife doesn't let me forget. Ever. Alright guys, thanks for tuning in. We'll see you on the next one.
Have a good night. You're not.